Welcome everybody to the Mangalorian. We are now in volume 6 of the Dragon Ball Super manga from Toyotaro with editorial suggestions from Akira Toriyama. And we're actually about to start the Tournament of Power. This entire volume was still kind of the pre-tournament build-up. We haven't quite hit that Tournament of Power like when it begins, but there's a lot of stuff that goes on here as we begin the build up to the TOP. Jordan, first of all, how are you?
I'm good. I'm tired, but I'm good.
Relatable. And the other question I have for you is when it comes to the do you remember what the hell the arc was called? It had a different name and I keep forgetting it, like it slipped my mind. The the Universal Survival Arc. That's the actual name of the arc. We call it the Tournament of Power.
Yeah.
But it's really the Universal Survival Arc. Just like how the Moral Arc is actually the Galactic Patrol Prisoner Arc, and the Goku Black Arc is the Future Trunks Arc. There's always like a real name and then a fan name, but calling it the Tournament of Power I think that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, it is the Tournament of Power. And I don't know. Titles are just that. They're titles. You know, you can call it whatever you want.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's probably some people out there that call this the Jiren arc because he was the main antagonist.
I've never heard that, but yeah, I'd say there probably is a few.
Maybe someday they'll call it that. But I mean, it's so big, you know. Let's go ahead and get into it, brother. Let's go ahead and get into it. Let me real quick get it going. I want to get the chat up as well. Hope y'all are doing well today. Should I go wide? No, that's too wide. Tall? No, that covers Jordan. Let's just do regular. But let's do medium. Let's do medium. Okay, this is a nice message for you.
Thanks. I appreciate it. I just had to take my grandfather to the hospital yesterday, but I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Yes, and I appreciate the kind words. Thank you, Dragon Ball 620. Make sure you check out Jordan's channel, Jordan the Dragon Lee. He's working on a big. Is it done yet? The Gohan video, that big ass Gohan video.
I have an hour and 20 minutes of it edited.
Wait a minute. So what's the final time going to be on that fucking thing?
Probably almost 2 hours.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Damn. You want to talk about a deep dive? That is a deep dive. Jesus. Yeah. All right. I can honestly tell you I've got a lot of videos I'm working on, but none of them are 2 hours. Yeah. But eventually I probably will drop a 2-hour one. So, all right. Dragon Ball Super, Volume 6. When we last left off, we saw the universal, we saw the multiversal God of Destruction tournament where all the gods of destruction are fighting. As we talked about last week, I'm a huge fan. I am a huge fan of them doing this in the manga. Like, seeing like the fact that like right here, Vermouth has like playing cards, you know, and then you've got Nine Tails over here.
Yeah,
like
they all have their own unique attacks.
I like that, and all it does, it makes you want to see them fight more.
Yeah, and something I would like to point out, which I'm not sure if they intended this because Ultra Ego was kind of an afterthought. I don't know when they really started conceptualizing the idea of the gods of destruction having their own technique, but I do find it interesting that none of the gods of destruction are using destruction here.
Right.
And
well, you're not supposed to kill.
Yeah, I know, and I do think they had some sort of an idea of a destruction technique because of Toppo. When Toppo becomes a god of destruction, I do think that probably is what inspired the idea for Ultra Ego. So I do think that there is some intention here in the sense that they're not using their destruction powers. So the reason I bring that up is because, you know, a lot of people use this to scale the gods. And you could probably do that accurately if you wanted to separate the Ultra Ego technique from their actual base power level. And I think if people thought about it that way, it could clear up a lot of confusion because there has been a lot of supplementary material and promotional material that has suggested that Beerus has been surpassed in the past.
Oh, I did a whole video about that, man. The anime really hammered that home, but the manga didn't.
Yes, and I think there's probably just a bit more nuance to it, and I would like to just speak on that a little bit. I think what they're going for here is Ultra Instinct is an adaptive and reflex-based technique, right? So it gets as strong as it needs to instantly against any opponent. Whereas like Ultra Ego, they just kind of slowly get stronger the more they tap into their destructive mindset, which makes Ultra Instinct like inherently superior to
I mean, it makes sense. It's an angel technique, and they're more powerful than the gods of destruction. I've always liked that. So in that
sense, Ultra Instinct Goku, even if he didn't, tap into the full depths of his power as an Ultra Instinct user, hypothetically could surpass Beerus, not to mention the fact that there is, like, they do treat Ultra Ego as, like, a separate state. So, with that being said, it's very, very likely here that they're trying to point out that the Gods of Destruction's power is limited as long as they're using their base power level and not their destruction technique. Because as you watch this fight, the gods in this fight do seem limited. They don't seem like their power is unlimited in comparison to, the different instances that we've seen Beerus, try to flex his power. In this fight, they all do seem like they have limits. They all do seem like there is a tier, different tiers of power, and that some are actually stronger than others.
Right.
So basically, I guess what I'm trying to say is I think the scaling here is just a little bit more nuanced than people would like to think. And I do think that the gods of destruction, when they're not using their destruction technique, do have a limited power level. So,
I first kind of became hip to that when the anime did that episode where they went to Universe 9. That's when I started to realize that, okay, these guys are not all created equal. And the manga really gave us more information. This, I want to shout out Dan M. Zungu, because I was actually going to bring this up now. I don't know how he read my mind, but this is a great point. He says, I'm curious whether or not a god of destruction is immune to destructive techniques. I think it is saying, Beerus, I'm Vegeta, by telling him he destroyed the race and then sort him out to use I think he means Hakai. I mean, that's actually a very good question. Would Hakai energy actually work on a god of destruction? And if it doesn't, okay, let's pretend that it does actually hurt them or possibly kill them. Can they put up like a barrier of Hakai energy to protect themselves from destruction? Well, these are questions we've never had answered.
Here's how I think about it. When I think of that conceptually, what I always think of, do you remember when, prior to the Tournament of Power in the anime, when Frieza got hit with that Hakai energy ball, he had gotten strong enough that he forced it down into his hands.
One of the most. It was one of the most impressive feats of the whole series, I think. Underrated.
Yeah, and then when he threw it on Goku, Goku kind of struggled because Goku wasn't in his strongest form at that time. He was in base form, but he still did pretty good for his base form in the anime. But I guess the point of what I'm trying to say is that I think there are different levels to destruction energy.
I think so too. Toppo, I think, really goes really hammered that home.
Yeah, because later on when Toppo does hit Frieza with his destruction energy, Frieza does struggle with that. So I think the idea is,
but he's not trying to kill him either.
No, he's not. So I do think that the gods of destruction have tiers in terms of their use of destruction ability, just as they do have tiers, without it.
Plus, Ultra Ego has not been mastered yet, and presumably speaking, when Vegeta does master Ultra Ego, that'll lead to him being basically mastering Hakai. You would think.
With the angels, you've got different tiers of Ultra Instinct, so it just makes sense that they would do the same thing with Ultra Ego.
Yes. This right here. Oh no, that's not. I didn't mean to put yours, but I do like your comment. What he wrote about the Hakai can output more power. This is what I used to say for years, that it can work on a god destruction if the person using it is more powerful. I think that makes the most sense, but there is a possibility that once they at least master how to use Hakai energy, then it won't hurt them. I do like how Whis here gives us the lore. extra lore that wasn't in the manga. Goku is so impressed by all these guys. You know, even the weaker gods of destruction are still impressive to Goku. I love these panels. I think Toyotaro had a really fun time with this.
Oh, he definitely did. It's all action, and it's a bunch of different well, he kind of had to use this as an opportunity to practice for the Tournament of Power. Because the Tournament of Power, a lot of people don't really think about this, but the idea of doing a consistent nothing but action manga
it can get boring fast if you don't do it right.
It can. It's a chore. Yeah. It's not something easy to accomplish because most of the time you have some sort of lore drop, some sort of dialogue, something like that to kind of ease the tension and the pacing a little bit every once in a while. But when you're doing something like the Tournament of Power and it's just like combat the entire time, that is something you'll probably need to practice for because, you know, that even Toriyama never did anything like that. So,
yeah.
You know,
well, the closest he came is those awesome panels of Goku, Super Saiyan Goku versus Frieza, where it was like 4 pages of pure action. You and I covered that on the original Mangalorian series, and I remember I was marking out because I was like, wow, like I haven't looked at these pages in years, and I realized that I think the manga version of Goku versus Frieza, I think I like it more than the anime version, you know. But you know that's. I don't like making those comparisons that much. So, and like we talked about, because this wasn't in the anime, I think Toyotaro really had a good time with this. I hope someday, and I hope someday we see something like this. And then this right here illustrates the power of the Grand Priest. We already know that the Grand Priest is either the strongest in the multiverse or top 5, depending on what source you want to go to. This guy is blocking Gods of Destruction powers with one finger. Now, Whis can do that too. I'm relatively certain, and so can Vados and the rest of them. But seeing him do it, I mean, I think ultimately, bro, the Grand Priest is the power scaling dick tease of the series because everybody wants to see this guy do something, and I don't know if we ever will.
Well, they in the manga specifically, they say that he is the strongest. Like, Like in the anime, they said that he was one of the 5.
One of the 5, yeah.
But in the manga, they specify that he is the strongest in the entire multiverse. So yes, it is a big tease to hear that, and then not really get to see Goku fight the Grand Priest. But I do think ultimately,
or anybody fight the Grand Priest.
Yeah, I do think ultimately they intended for Goku to eventually train with the Grand Priest because he's essentially like the top tier of Ultra Instinct. You know, if Goku's ever going to
he's the father.
Yeah, he basically, if Goku's ever going to master Ultra Instinct to the degree that he would like to, Grand Priest is the toppest of the top tier in terms of, you know, using Ultra Instinct. So, you know, I've always had my hopes up about that too. As a matter of fact, I remember a while back. I don't know if you remember. I don't know if you remember this, but they at one point, I think it was Victory Uchida. Came on, it was on the Dragon Ball official website, and he showed us this chart of like all the characters that Goku still needed to catch up to.
There's a few.
Yeah, and I remember it was pretty controversial because Beerus was on there.
Yeah, you're talking about I don't know what you're talking about. You're talking about when Toyotaro was interviewed with Victory Uchida, right. And he's like, Goku still has surpassed Beerus, and he went into all these like 3 or 4 different people, yeah. And then when he said Beerus, everybody was like, "What?"
It was Broly, Beerus, Whis, and the Grand Priest. So I do think
I think he already surpassed Broly.
Yeah. So he could have. He has definitely. But if Broly can have better control of his power, basically, what I think they're thinking about future developments when they make those statements. I don't think they're making those statements based on the context we had at that time. I think that they were thinking towards the future. I think they wanted Broly to surpass Goku again. They wanted Beerus to, you know, surpass Goku again in the sense that he was going to use Ultra Ego. I think they were kind of thinking about it, in terms of the future. But I guess what I'm trying to say is I think they had already kind of mapped out a scaling progression that ultimately led to the Grand Priest. Because when they name dropped the Grand Priest in that interview, it seemed to suggest that they did at some point intend for Goku to fight the Grand Priest. So I do think that he always has kind of been like basically kind of like the top in terms of
the measuring stick is the word. Yeah. Like Beerus was for a lot of the series. Is Goku the only mortal known to ever achieve Mastered Ultra Instinct? He's actually, based on statements made in both manga and anime, he's the first mortal that these gods have seen do it. Now, if there was somebody before Goku, maybe it'll get revealed later, but he did it, and then later Moro did it when he touched Mirror's behind him. Yeah. I want to get your thoughts on this question before we move on here, because we do have to move on. David says, is there anything in Dragon Ball you guys still struggle to understand? Something they never went into detail or just hard to understand? There's a lot of stuff they didn't go into detail with, and now that Toriyama's gone, we may never get definitive answers on a lot of these questions. But if there's something in Dragon Ball that I personally don't understand, I try to find out by doing homework and figuring it out. And sometimes, much like, other lores in other, stories, you have to do what's called exegesis, which is you have to look outside of just the anime and manga. You have to look at, like Jordan would comment on Journey to the West and other Buddhist, Taoist. That's how you really learn. You have to, you almost, as Derek Padula would say, you almost have to learn Dragon Ball culture to really understand everything. I know I make it seem like, I'm not trying to make it seem like me, Jordan, and Derek are these fucking intellectuals. It's just, I've never struggled that much to understand things, but there are obviously questions I have. Jordan and I went back and forth about who was first, Rymus or Zeno. That's a question that might never get answered, and I would like to know. So do you have something to say about this before we move on?
And not really. I mean, there are definitely things that have stumped me. In terms of like, a development or something like that that's happened within the series. And I've been like, well, I really need to think about this, like whether or not, or how this applies, what the context of that is. But in terms of me being able to think about it on the fly, like the types of things that I've dealt with that have stumped me like that, I can't summon that instantly. I don't remember all the stuff that I've been confused by in the past. But I will say that, anytime I ever have been confused about something, I do make an active effort to try to understand it. So,
yeah, and there's usually an answer, but objectively, there are some things that we're just never going to know, especially now that Toriyama's no longer with us. Like, there's legitimate questions. Yeah. Danny, you and Goku are the hope of the universe. Oh, boy. Jordan, I hope I never get possessed by the demon of the English dub, bro. I may need you to save me. I may need you to save me if that ever happens.
I got you, bro.
All right, thank you. So, because this fight was so fast and intense, the Grand Priest essentially says, gods of destructions are disqualified. So, originally, the idea was that they were going to lead teams, which would have been awesome. That would have been fucking awesome. But because they're too strong and not entertaining enough for Zeno, the Grand Priest is like, nah, you guys can't fight, so they're gonna have to find mortals, Yep. And Goku's like, no, I don't want to cancel the tournament, let's do the tournament, and that's where they decide to kind of let the mortals take over and fight. So here we have
the gods of destruction are too fast, which is funny because they ended up fixing this in the anime, like Zeno not being able to see the fight because it's so fast. Like Grand Priest gives him an iPad that like slows everything down, which I thought was really funny.
That was very clever.
Yeah, but so essentially what's happening here is they're establishing that the gods of destruction are on a different levels than the mortals, which I think is important. This is a really good way to establish that the gods of destruction are way more powerful than the mortals that we're going to see fighting in the Tournament of Power for the most part. So I really like that, but yes, this is essentially just a trial run for the gods to figure out how they themselves are going to handle the Tournament of Power. After the Grand Priest sees this fight, he basically kind of uses the fight to determine what kind of rules he's going to apply to the Tournament of Power. So
I'm going to get to that now. First, though, let me address this. I did a whole video on the channel called the next Tournament of Power or the second Tournament of Power. So go ahead and look into that on the channel, you know, after the stream. I did cover this already. So the Grand Priest rules for the Tournament of Power are revealed. He says basically to make it easier for Zeno to watch, no flying unless you have wings, so you can't use Bukujutsu, no weapons, and no killing. And if you get eliminated outside the ring, you're out. Now, it's like a battle royal, right? I've said it before, like it's like a Royal Rumble, a battle royal. Now, one thing that I talked about back then, because here's the thing, I haven't talked about this arc in years because, you know, we covered it when the anime was out, we covered it when the manga was out. Now, you know, that's what this series is for, to go back and have a retrospective on the Tournament of Power. And one of the things that I said is I discussed that, oh, it covers my face, never mind. I discussed that the fact that they're not allowed to kill is very similar to what happened with Hit. These guys were all holding back. Even Jiren and Ultra Instinct Goku were actually holding back, because if Jiren and Goku used their absolute max power, that they would run the risk of killing their opponent. So let's say Jiren went to his absolute 100% power and he hit someone and he killed them on accident, he would be disqualified. So because killing is a rule, no killing is a rule, none of these fighters were going at full power. Now, I know some people that may bother them because it's like, man, fuck, I want to see them go at full power. They can't, because if they did, somebody might die. Like, you have to suppress yourself. Otherwise, you're going to fuck up.
Well, also, you know, being in a killing situation completely recontextualizes how Goku would have to handle this in terms of his attitude.
Definitely. And a lot of the characters.
Yeah, because Goku is he enjoys sporting events. He enjoys being in sports-driven tournaments. He doesn't
like to kill.
No, he doesn't. So his attitude towards the Tournament of Power would be entirely different. Everybody's attitude towards the Tournament of Power in general would be different, even the other characters. So I do think the no killing rule is also important narratively. And I don't think that, you know, I don't think that they hold back so much that it becomes a problem, because there are different instances, you know, because the gap between Jiren and Goku is so big in this arc. Goku does have to break his limits and get stronger and use his full power a few times. So it's not like you don't get to see them use their full power at all. It's just that, you know, you're not going to see Vegeta or Frieza just wiping somebody away, a weaker fighter away with a ki blast. And I think that's important. I think the idea of like stronger characters being able to hunt down weaker characters and just easily kill them would completely detract from the arc and the storytelling. So I'm personally glad that they didn't do, you know, killing.
No, I have no problem with it either. But I think some people were like, man, I wish they went all out. Or maybe, no, you know, man, they did go all out. They didn't. And the thing that's funny about what you said is a lot of Frieza's signature techniques are killing moves.
Yeah.
The Death Beam is a killing move. The Planet Destroyer is a killing move. The Kienzon disc that he throws that he can control telekinetically is a move meant to kill you. Like, most of his big moves are killing moves.
Yep.
What an asshole. So we're about to see the Toppo Goku warm-up match. And right here, Goku says that he doesn't want any interest in being God of Destruction. I remember all these cringe videos during this era about Goku and Vegeta becoming gods of destruction. And I would make counter videos pulling my damn hair out saying, God, you people don't understand Goku and Vegeta. Goku and Vegeta do not care about being gods of destruction or angels. That's boring to them. That's not what they want to do. Vegeta is perfectly fine learning Ultra Ego because he's a martial artist and he wants to get stronger. And Goku obviously wants to master Ultra Instinct. But that doesn't mean that he wants to actually become an angel. The Goku and Vegeta do not care about having that kind of power. And there's people who, one of the things that fucking weird, Jordan, is when people say like, well, Vegeta wants to be a god of destruction so he can be a prince again. Bro, Vegeta hasn't given a fuck about being a prince in years, dude. You think Vegeta wants to be like on a fucking like tree island destroying planets for no reason, bro? He doesn't give a shit about that. He just wants to get stronger.
Here, the main reason that I would be skeptical of the idea of either of them having a job like that at all is because
it just wouldn't make sense.
Well, you're right.
To their character.
But the reason, yes, to their character it doesn't make sense. But the reason, okay, let me put you this way. I think Goku and Vegeta kind of naturally do the job of a destroyer and an angel without actually being one. Okay, Goku keeps Vegeta in check. He keeps him from just running around destroying like crazy. That's what their relationship has been since they met. Goku kind of keeps Vegeta in check and keeps him from, basically it's the same relationship that Beerus and Whis have. And Vegeta is the type, if he runs into you and you don't fit his standards, he's going to threaten to kill you until you fit his standards. So they both already kind of naturally act like those type of gods anyway. So the idea that they would work actively for Zeno and have somebody over them being like, you have to do this, you have to do that, that's the thing that I think that they would never accept.
That's another aspect. And you think they would be okay leaving their families? And, but Goku always leaves his family. Yeah, but he leaves his family to do cool shit, not to sit around waiting for
They don't have to work for Zeno to have that sort of impact on the universe, I guess is the more
exactly.
Yeah.
They want to learn the techniques, but it doesn't mean they want the job. That's my point.
Right.
Yeah. It's kind of like, I'll use a real world example. All right, let's say you love basketball and you want to become a better basketball player. So you train with an NBA player. You just want to become a better basketball player. That doesn't mean you want to go to the NBA. That just means you want to be a better basketball player just to improve yourself. You know what I'm saying? And that's Goku and Vegeta. I'll give you another example. Before YouTube, I was a computer networking engineer. I am perfectly fine with learning new stuff now, like new operating systems and new pieces of equipment, all kinds of new networking, philosophies and just learning about modern technology. But that doesn't mean I want to go back and be a tech again. I'd rather stay here talking about Dragon Ball. So that's what I'm saying. It's not a job. It's just that they are hungry to train. And remember what Vegeta said in Dragon Ball Super Broly. He wants to protect the Earth from Frieza. I mean, he said it himself.
Yep.
So, more action here. Goku goes Super Saiyan. I don't know how I feel about him just using Super Saiyan because of Toppo's incredible power. And
he's just testing him. He slowly powers up. That's a very Goku thing to do. He did the same thing against Jiren in the Tournament of Power. He just slowly powered up.
No, I know it's a Goku thing, but I'm saying like Toppo, I don't know. But one of the things that I find funny here, and I think this was a gag that was put in by Toyotaro, is something Toriyama would do. The Grand Priest is like, how many transformations can Goku perform? It's almost like he's making fun of the fact there's too many transformations. Whis says he goes Super Saiyan 1, 2, 3 plus God in Blue. I would say that he has 5 transformations in total so far. He's not including the Graves, he doesn't know about them, or the Great Ape. But I do find it funny that he's like, yeah, he's got 5 transformations. Like, oh, and then Zeno says 5. I want to see them all, and Goku's like, yeah, all right, I'll show it to you. And that was cool. At least that's an explanation to where it's not Goku. What do you call it? Like just doing the forms for shits and giggles. He's showing them to Zeno. And he even says right here, I wasn't planning on showing them at all, showing them all, but he's gonna do it. So he goes Super Saiyan 2. You can tell because of the hair and the lightning. Then he powers up to Super Saiyan 3, and he actually tries to fight Toppo in Super Saiyan 3. But I think that I think that the problem with that form is it's still got problems because Topo's not even he's not
in
even
Battle of
phased.
Gods, a lot of people don't realize this because they think that like after the Buu saga that like Goku mastered Super Saiyan 3 or something.
I thought that maybe he did at one point.
Well,
like,
in the Battle of Gods promotional, I think it's the pamphlet that. Or anyway, there's a Battle of Gods promotional piece of material that basically outright says, I have it on my computer actually, that Goku still has that problem with Super Saiyan 3. Like
I may remember that. Like
They do specify that Super Saiyan 3 will always have that issue during Battle of Gods, which makes sense because I mean, if it didn't, it would be a more useful form. There'd be, it would be something that he could implement more often and it actually pay off. It kind of takes away from the idea of the God forms and the blue form's relevance if Super Saiyan 3 is just like, if he has no stamina issues with it at all, he would use it way more often. So, I mean, I love Super Saiyan 3, and I do think it's kind of become...
That's a good point from Mecha J.
Diamond made it look like he mastered Super Saiyan 3.
We didn't see much of it, but I see why he would say that.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I mean... Vegeta had problems with it too. Here's the thing. So I guess this is a good opportunity to talk
about. Actually, that's another thing. I'm glad you brought it up. Goku straight up says that Vegeta is running out of Super Saiyan 3, so it's there.
Yeah. I guess this is a good opportunity to talk about this. So Super Saiyan 3, okay, conceptually, what makes Super Saiyan 3 exist is using what powers up Super Saiyan specifically, which is Rage, to cause you to further evolve using the Super Saiyan branch of transformation. So essentially, if you remember back during the Cell Saga, Goku tries to just power up the normal way in Super Saiyan. And when he does, he just gets buffer, and that's what the grade forms are. So like if you just raise your ki as a Super Saiyan, what happens is you just get buffer. And it's funny because they go over this in the anime tournament.
Grade 2 and grade 3.
Because Caulifla tries to use it, and Goku's like, you're just powering up. That's not how you go into the new Super Saiyan forms. So they do expand on the mechanics of how Super Saiyan 2 through 3 works in the Tournament of Power, and how it works is it's essentially instead of just powering up your ki, you're using Rage to further push yourself into a higher Super Saiyan state. So Rage is the catalyst for Super Saiyan 3. Now, the problem is that it's not the same as using the natural amount of ki that you have in your body. You're essentially kind of using adrenaline to amplify your natural abilities. And that is a very, very different concept than Super Saiyan God or Super Saiyan Blue. Super Saiyan God is controlling your ki to the utmost proficiency, raising it to its max and containing it. And then once you go into Super Saiyan, that's Super Saiyan Blue. So they're not necessarily using, they're not exaggerating their rage to power up their Super Saiyan forms when they're using Super Saiyan God or Super Saiyan Blue. Now, Super Saiyan Blue is also fueled by rage, but they're not basically pushing that past its limit in the same sense they are with Super Saiyan 2 or Super Saiyan 3. So with all that being said, it makes sense to me that Super Saiyan 3 drains a lot of power because it's essentially them trying to use adrenaline to push their bodies and their abilities further than they would normally be capable of. And it also makes sense to me that Super Saiyan God and Super Saiyan Blue drain the energy the way they do because they are also essentially trying to concentrate their power within their bodies and reach a unnatural state that would drain a lot of stamina and power. So conceptually and mechanically, it makes sense for Super Saiyan 3 and Super Saiyan God and Super Saiyan Blue to all work the way that they do. And I do think that Toriyama put a lot of work into that and a lot of thought into that as well. So
yeah. Also, I want to let everybody in the chat know, if I put your comment up and I just give you a thumbs up or don't say anything, it usually means that I agree. That's it. This is an interesting super chat. From Enmos Cobra, if Goku did it with Caulifla, who would get pregnant, Caulifla or Kale, or both? And if they had kids, would Caulifla and Kale have the same looking baby? I don't think they would have the same looking baby, but these questions, bro. You know what this reminds me of? The days of Ask FM. If you've been around a long time, like going back to the beginning of the channel, Ask FM was like the when we get questions like this. Do you have an answer for Endmost Cobra, bro?
I just don't think Kefla would get pregnant. I think the second that they split, you know,
The
that
sperm
would take care of that. So the Batara is like birth control is essentially my answer.
That is, I was not expecting you to say that. But here's what you can do, Endmost Cobra. Hit up Griffin and ask him to do some fan art of pregnant Caulifla. Speaking of Griffin, I did receive my copy of Keko Daimon, which is Jordan and Griffin's manga. It's right. Let me get the big screen up, bro. What am I doing here? Hold on. Let me get the big screen up here. I did receive it right here. I can't show you. Did he show you the special piece of art that he did for me?
Yeah, he gave me the full rundown on your reaction, which I really appreciated. So.
I'm covering up the part that I'm not allowed to show. Yeah. This was awesome, bro. And what are these QR codes? It just goes to your social or your channel?
Yeah, it just goes to our Twitter accounts. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna be reading through this. I wanted to ask you, and we're gonna do a whole stream about this, but the paper quality in this is amazing.
Yeah.
Like, I gotta talk to you because I'm curious about where you had it printed, because this feels really nice. Like, this actually feels like almost like it's it is professional. You know what I mean? Like if Marvel put it out or something.
Yeah. I will send you a link to the website later on. The reason I use this particular website is because they had manga format. So you guys probably don't know anything about formatting. Formatting is not easy. Okay. When something is printed, the way that they cut the paper, you have to make sure that the image sits in the book in a way that the images don't get cut off or anything like that.
Yeah.
And also in a lot of cases, if you're trying to print in the United States, they want to print it as though it's a book or a comic book, meaning it's not backwards. Meaning like when you go to upload the pages, they try to print it in comic format, but anyway, I found a website that automatically had the manga format, and it had different options for different quality of paper. And yeah, I was really impressed by that as well. Yeah.
It was beautiful, or it is beautiful. If I want to see that, I got Google for a reason. Well, then why'd you ask? No, but you might have Google, but Griffin would probably do a better job. He's pretty good at doing sex stuff, believe it or not. Griffin is good at drawing naked women, dog, believe it or not. So back to the manga. I love these panels where Toppo smashes Goku. So Goku goes from Super Saiyan 3 up to God. And now things get a little bit more serious because this is transformation number 4. And now Toppo can sense that he has God Ki. And so Toppo powers up and reveals that he also has God Ki.
Yeah.
This was something that was... It wasn't directly stated in Super, but it was visually shown. He's got God Ki, so now they can have a matchup using God Ki. Goku tries to fly. He forgets that he can't fly, ends up moving around, going down. He tries to go for a big knee. Toppo blocks it. This is a good fight, bro. And then as they're going at it, Goku upgrades to Super Saiyan Blue because he needs it. He's about to hit Toppo. Toppo ducks and kicks Goku right in the old family jewels, bro. He kicks Goku right in the balls.
Yep.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I felt that. Yeah.
When that panel dropped, bro, everybody was talking about it like, damn, bro.
So, in terms of Toppo
and Goku's face is great. Go ahead.
In terms of Toppo having God Ki, I do think that was narratively important because a lot of people don't realize that the training that Goku and Vegeta went through in the early Super arcs, whenever he was training with Whis, is the same training that the Gods of Destruction go through. Like, a lot of people don't understand that. They think that it's just Whis training them, in their own unique way. But no, that's not the case at all. And also, it expands on what Super Saiyan God itself actually is, which I think is really cool. Like, it's a bit of a lore drop that people kind of overlook, because essentially what this is suggesting is that Super Saiyan God is not just this legendary figure that can be created through this ritual. It's also what happens when a Saiyan takes on the aura of a god naturally. Meaning that if a Saiyan, let's just say the ritual never happened. Okay, let's just forget that the ritual even exists as a concept. Okay, if a god of destruction decided to take on a Saiyan apprentice, and he took them to his planet, and he started teaching them how to tap into the battle power of a god, Super Saiyan God would happen naturally as a side effect of that. And I think that this Toppo having the aura of a god and being able to use the technique to be able to cast the aura of a god essentially points out to the reader that that's what Super Saiyan God is. Super Saiyan God is what happens when a Saiyan takes on the aura of a god. That's essentially
right. It's his form. It's like Ultra Instinct. Goku's hair changes because it's a mutation. So look, let me real quick get this out of the way. Look, bro. Okay, right here. You finally cast the aura of a god, then I shall respond in the same way. Listen, bro. Listen. I know you're trying to rage bait me. I know you're trying to rage bait me. It's not gonna work. I don't fall for your rage bait. Brother, listen. If you're in here just to fucking talk shit, like, it's time to grow up, man. Like, every day I see an account like this where I'm like, dude, y'all need a job, you need some pussy, you need something, bro, because coming in here saying that we're wrong and then, like, you know, just being an asshole for no reason, dude, like, do something productive, man. You're not rage baiting me, dude. You're not. It's not gonna work. I'm a little smarter than I used to be. So Goku gets hit in the balls. Toppo ends up winning, even though he hit him in the balls, and and actually Toppo admits that he almost lost the fight. So, and then this is where Toppo reveals that Jiren is stronger than Belmont. Like,
yeah, and he says based on combat skill alone. And I think that's very, very important, because that's basically showing that even the writers are, Toyotaro himself is thinking about their battle power in a more nuanced sense than just, well, this guy's stronger than this guy. Like, I think that's very, very important that he says based on combat skill alone. Like, I think that's important, because if Belmont was to use Ultra Ego, there might be a chance that he could catch up to Jiren if he was really good at using it. And I think that's sort of the implication here, is that, you know, Ultra Ego is an entirely different thing in comparison to the battle power that these gods actually have outside of using a god technique. And I think that's an important distinction.
I made a video a few years ago on the channel, and I think it was called Ultra Ego Vegeta versus God of Destruction Toppo. What's the difference? And in that video, I went into the differences between what Toppo does in the anime and what Vegeta does in the manga. And I do like how this is kind of a callback to Beerus when he tells Goku, I'm only the second strongest in Universe 11. It's like when Beerus is talking to Goku and he's like, you know, I'm not the strongest. Whis is my teacher. So it's very similar. It's supposed to whet the appetite of the viewer and of Goku to see how strong this mysterious Jiren is. Yep. So chapter 30, a man named Jiren. So this is when they start to build up Jiren. And then here, the Grand Priest gives the instructions to tell everybody to go recruit 10 people. And pretty much that's the big, you know, time limit. You can't kill, no flying, so on and so forth. 48 minutes is how long it's going to be. This is stuff that if you were watching back then and you were paying attention, it's all pretty common stuff. It was silly, though, Jordan, that in the anime, every episode would equal like 30 seconds of the clock. Goku, it's like Piccolo and Gohan would be standing there talking, right? And then it would only count for a couple seconds. Like, time in Dragon Ball is weird. You can justify it by saying that they're moving past the speed of light, therefore time doesn't really compute the same way. But when
Yeah.
they're standing there and they're talking, bro, it's like the 5-minute Frieza thing all over again.
Right.
You know?
No, you're right. In Tournament of Power, and it's funny because you were just making that comparison between Toriyama drawing the Frieza Goku fight in Tournament of Power. It really does kind of seem like every like super combat centric arc of Dragon Ball feels that way, where time is just, you know, it's not consistent.
I almost feel like it's a gag at this point.
Yeah.
You know? So, Grand Priest reveals that the universes that don't win will be erased by Zeno. The stakes are up, man, and I don't mean the grill. I don't mean fucking picanha. All right, so they go over the mortal levels, Jordan,
So
man.
this is a very important line down here in the bottom left.
Okay, these right
Yeah.
here.
So this Kai says it's a good thing that we took our job seriously, and then
Yeah, because they don't have to fight.
Yeah, that God of Destruction is all relieved because he doesn't have to participate or whatever.
Right.
Now, I've seen a lot of people try to claim that the Gods of Destruction aren't necessarily involved in the development of mortals.
They are.
And
That was literally said by Zeno and Grand Priest.
But people think that they just destroy, and I think there's more to their job than that. I think that at the end of the day, they have a jobs report. They have to go in and they have to report what their mortal level is. So they have to figure out some way to, as a God of Destruction, raise the mortal level of the mortals around them. And I do think that Gods of Destruction tend to have their own unique approach to that. And I think that Beerus and Vegeta are very good examples of this type of approach. But I do think it's important that the series in itself establishes that the Angel, the God of Destruction, and the Kai are a team in terms of all being obligated to raise the mortal level of the universe. And it's not just on the Kai. If anything, it's more on the Kai and the God of Destruction than it is on the Angel. And I think that's an important distinction because a lot of people think that the Gods of Destruction just run around destroying things. And that's not all they do. They do have to, in some sense, make sure that the mortal level is raised. So.
Yeah, and destruction is only part of it. They have to work
also,
with the Supreme Kai.
And also that character who, I think his name's Gene. That character.
The Angel order.
Whenever he was first introduced in the anime, his character profile, and I always found this extremely fascinating. And I've always had an idea of what this position might be, and I've talked about it online, but in his profile, it says that he is up for a promotion. And I've always found that statement very, very interesting because it's not saying that he's retiring. It's saying that he's up from a promotion, which seems to suggest that there is a position that a God of Destruction can be promoted to as a God of Destruction. And I've always wondered what that position was. Now,
It's like a throwaway line almost, right?
Yeah, I have ideas. I have ideas in terms of what that position is. Because if you go, you could start to go into different dimensions instead of just universes, and Gods of Destruction can look over dimensions instead of universes, which was initially my thought, is that he would essentially just have bigger territory, very similar to the Kai. Because King Kai, you know, he only looks over one section of the galaxy, and then Shin, he looks over the entire universe. They could continue.
Well, now he does, but not originally, because remember, the other 4 Kais were killed by Boo or absorbed.
Right.
Yeah.
So they could push that concept with the God of Destruction as well, to where they oversee entire sections of a dimension rather than a universe. But anyway, I just wanted to talk about that because I've always found that fascinating. Is that, you know, God's Destruction can be promoted. There is more to the God hierarchy in Toriyama's mind than we are aware of.
Yes, there is.
I think that's cool. So.
Yes. Okay. They should have recruited the Kais. Brother, the Kais are weaker than like 90% of the people on the teams. That's a bad idea. He says, Dan M. Zungu says, can we all agree the Universe 7 only having 28 planets is crap? Yes, I did a whole video about it. I did an entire...
It's definitely nonsensical.
It's such bullshit. I did a whole video about it. Now, I'm going to cut a mini rant here, Jordan.
Okay.
When... I'm going to go full screen. When this was going on in the anime, I was paying attention. And I reported on this channel right here, this one that everyone's watching, that mortal level has nothing to do with power. It has to do with how the Kais and the gods and everybody do their jobs. Which civilizations are thriving, which planets are doing better. But there were people on YouTube who continued to say it was about strength. Look, listen, I have no problem with expert games. No beef. I haven't talked to the guy in forever. I don't know what happened to him. But one of the things that used to irritate me is that he would get so many things wrong in his videos. And because he got so many views, it misled a bunch of people. So I would have to come along and try to like correct the mistakes he would make, or at least give the correct information. But the problem is that his videos did so well that so many people were misinformed, and I got so sick because you know this about me, bro, and if you're in the chat, you know this about me if you've been watching me on stream. I hate having to repeat myself over and over and over and over again. It drives me nuts.
No, I totally get it.
Because I kept telling people it has nothing to do with power, and I kept seeing it. It's like, fuck, bro, and that still goes on to this day, bro.
It does.
That's probably that's probably the one thing about this job that I don't like. And the problem is that I don't have the power to fix it. One of the things that I despise is when people say shit like, well, you think your opinion's the only one that matters. No, fuck you. It's not about opinion. It's about facts. I spit facts, not opinions. Facts. And the facts is that in this manga and anime, mortal levels has nothing to do with strength. That's confirmed because who won? Universe 7, which has one of the lowest mortal levels. No, I'm out here. My whole job with this channel is to spit the real shit and debunk bullshit. The problem is I'm only one man. That's the issue. I'm just one guy. And the other problem is that there's a lot of people out there who are fucking numbskulls and they don't like me for whatever fucking reason because they're fucking snowflakes or they're jealous or whatever the fuck. And so with them, it's like, well, hold on. Well, Geetham's not credible. Not credible these nuts, bro. Not credible this dick. And that's a fact, dog. There's a reason as to why I'm where I'm at. But like, what I'm trying to tell you, it's not even an ego thing. It's like, I'm trying to give correct information, and motherfuckers are like saying I'm wrong, which it's fine. You don't have to believe me, but at the very least,
wrong. But you're factually wrong. Like when somebody says that to you and they just disagree with you, they're still factually wrong. Like they can disagree with you.
Yeah, it's like the kid
factually wrong. You know?
But right, you can disagree with an opinion, but like all these motherfuckers, and I'm not gonna name any names, but expert games I name because I have no issue with him, none. But I remember this. This is a flashback to that era, and there were many times where I would reach out to him and I would say, "Bro, you got this wrong, this wrong, this wrong." Not because I'm trying to be a dick, not because I'm trying to sun him, but because when you make a video on this platform and you have power, people get misled. Example, I'll give you a great example. Remember when that article came out that said that Akira Toriyama said that red was a stronger color than blue, and that's why he gave Super Saiyan God to Goku. And then guess what happened? For Neverworld and Rhyme Style, blue is stronger than God. Blue is stronger than God. I reached out to Rhyme Style on Skype. This is like 11 years ago. And I'm like, bro, this is incorrect. And finally, he brought me on his channel, and we talked about it publicly, and we resolved, like, you know, it was, we fixed the misinformation, right? But yeah, it's like, but what I'm trying to tell you is, if you have, in my opinion, if you have a channel and you have an audience and your channel is meant to inform people, if that's what you do, if you have power to where you have a big following, you need some fucking responsibility to get shit right. Never did they ever say in anime, manga, any of the statements that mortal level has to do with power. They never said that.
Actually, they outright show you that it doesn't have to do with power in the end of the tournament of power, because they raised Universe 7's mortal level because of 17's wish.
Yeah.
Not because of how
Zeno
strong they
Zeno
were.
respected him.
Yeah, they raised the mortal level because, and you should honestly, like, I don't want to get too much into this because the Goku Black arc gives you a great idea of what the Kai's goals are in terms of Goku himself is like the ideal mortal. Like they do a lot of stuff to like show you what mortal development is and what their intentions are with it. It's just spiritual development. They're essentially just ripping off Chinese mythology. Like in Chinese mythology, a mortal developed through spiritual cultivation, spiritual development. That's essentially what Dragon Ball's doing. They're using the exact same concept. Now, in terms of you dealing with people who are like very
stubborn,
aggregate, yeah, I think the problem is I don't think it has anything to do with you being, what they accuse you of being.
I'm very direct, bro. I don't fucking play around. I'm very direct.
People do not like having their preconceived notions challenged, and you constantly challenge their preconceived notions, and it doesn't matter how nice or kind or considerate you are.
Tell them.
I consider myself a pretty considerate, kind person, but I have had a lot of very aggressive debates and conversations with people simply because they don't like the idea that I'm challenging their preconceived notions. They just don't like it, Yeah. And people are just it's like a mini ego death to have this information that you thought was factually true in your head be proven wrong, and people just don't react to that well. They never have, So I do think that people do, especially people particularly.
And by the way, to add to what you're saying, what you just said is literally ego. I find it very funny that one of the things that's said about me, which is bullshit, is that I have a big fucking ego. No, I don't have a big ego. I'm just very, very direct. If you're wrong, I'm going to say you're wrong and here's why. You don't have to take it personal. You don't have to cry like a bitch. Just fucking be like, oh, okay, show me the evidence. Okay, look, Toriyama said this. This magazine said this. There's this on this. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll show you the evidence. That's why I think that YouTube is great for us, because we can actually show people, like, this is what Toriyama said in this interview. This is what, we can actually show people what's up. But but there are some people that just, even if you show them evidence, it's like, no. Like, and it's just like, it's infuriating. And that's ego, bro. That's ego. When you're not willing to accept that you're wrong, that's ego. Go ahead, bro. I'm sorry.
It's fine. Every person that I've had a confrontational conversation with online has been like that.
Me too.
I have never had a confrontational conversation with somebody online who was not like that. Because if I have evidence for what I'm saying, I'll show it to you, and most of the time they'll be like, "Oh, okay, cool. If you're not if you're not like that, you're not. If you're
open-minded,
and
you're respectful,
not going to be confrontational whenever somebody gives you evidence for what they're trying to say, So yeah, I do think that that's a major problem. But I also think, in terms of like YouTubers spreading misinformation, I think that is the biggest problem on that front. Because if you put out a video with a specific set of information and you claim that information as fact, it's essentially the same thing as doubling down.
Facebook does it too, and Instagram.
Yeah, it makes it that much harder for you to go back and be like, oh, I was wrong, because you made an entire monetized video putting out wrong information. So it makes it that much harder for you to admit that you're wrong.
But how many of them actually admit that they're wrong? I mean, some do, but some don't.
Yeah. I'm just saying, in terms of the YouTube community, I think part of the reason that you've had to deal with that in a more aggressive manner is because of that. It's almost like they feel obligated to double down even more, because if they don't double down, the video that their credibility is on the line. They want to have their cake and eat it too. They want to be able to, say that they're right about everything, but also they don't want to have to acknowledge when they're wrong and lose any credibility. So it's a very, very complicated thing. When you're dealing with people on that level, it's very, very complicated, because you're dealing with people's egos, like you said, and people are very, very emotional and very, very sensitive when it comes to their reputation,
their nostalgia,
and stuff like that. So yeah, And I think everybody, if everybody was just a little bit more humble and just listen to each other a little bit more, I think that problem wouldn't exist. I think people putting out wrong information and then having to double down because they're worried about their reputation would be way less prominent, because they never would put out the wrong information to begin with, because it would be acknowledged before that ever happened. You know what I mean? So yeah, I like that. I think
And
it's
I'm
a
not.
major problem.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to diss any particular YouTubers. I brought up Expert Games just because I remember his video being one of the ones. There's other ones too that had got it wrong. And I had people in the comment section being like, and here's what sucks. People in my comment section will be like, you know, it's not because of strength. And no, bro. And then here's what pisses me off about YouTubers. If I were to leave this comment on if I left the comment on any of these YouTubers' fucking comment section, and I was like, even if I was polite, hey man, this information is incorrect because of this, and this. Here come the fucking fanboys. You're just jealous. And it's like, fuck, dude. I'm not, listen. There ain't a goddamn motherfucker on this planet I'm jealous of, except maybe the guy who's fucking Tessa Fowler. And if you want to know who that is, Google her, but not at work. Maybe I'm jealous of that motherfucker, but there's nobody I'm not a jealous person. Now, I want to comment on what he says right here, that, my directness and willingness to challenge people offends people to a degree where they label us and lead us. That's not my problem, though. Like, the thing is, I've softened up a lot. I'm way less of an asshole than I used to be, because I used to be really combative, but I'm never going to change my directness. I'm never going to. I'm just going to say no. Like, and if you disagree, we can agree to disagree if you want. Jordan and I did it last week and like I think a month ago on the Rymus Zeno conversation. Nobody fucking was mad. There was no fucking like egos there. Like, because it's not that big of a deal, first of all, and second of all, it's whatever. But that's what irritates. But I'm just saying, like, reading this manga has like opened up a memory of that time period, you know, almost like PTSD, where I was like, fuck, bro, like, and this happened commonly too. This was a common thing.
Yeah.
And I remember, and there were a lot of YouTubers back then who had no idea what they were talking about. Here's the reality of the situation. And this is what I'm about to say is not egotistical. There's very few people in this community who you should actually listen to. This is not ego. Trust me, I swear to God, this is not ego. There's very few people in this community you should listen to when it comes to information. I like this comment right here, bro. Put a smile on my face. There's very few. 90% of Instagram pages are full of shit. Vegeta's got a new movie coming out. It's all bullshit. Disney bought Dragon Ball. It's all bullshit. Screen Rant, all these web pages, like, it's all bullshit. Yeah. And like, it's annoying because I'm trying to spread the truth. No, Disney does not own Dragon Ball. No, there is no Vegeta movie coming up. But I'm only one man. And if the YouTube algorithm doesn't push my video, what am I going to do, bro? And then here's what happens. Somebody will bring it up to me a month later and I'll be like, fuck, why didn't you watch the video? And people get mad when I do that. You know, when I'm like, bro, I made a video about it. Not because I'm like angry at them and I want them to be hurt, but because I am doing the best that I can. And if YouTube doesn't push the video,
you want your efforts appreciated, particularly by people that you consider friends or people in your community. You know, it makes perfect sense.
But I also want to kill the misinformation.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Makes perfect sense.
So, all right, we're going to get back to the manga here. Bob Zor Trenton, where art thou? Great question. He should be here. Reawaken SCH. Kind of late, but Toppo's one of the few characters that I really did enjoy seeing in DBS. Along includes Hit and a few others. Me too. I still think that Toppo should get his own, or the Pride Troopers should get their own like show. This guy's right about that, bro. Anyways, let's continue. Okay. The average level of the planets with mortals on them in Universe 7 is 3.18. That's really not good. See, where's the part of who's stronger?
Yeah.
No, it's not. No, you're wrong. It's not because they get more viewers. Here's what it is, bro. They do that because they don't know any better. Like, a lot of these YouTube channels don't care about being accurate, don't know about double sourcing.
That right there is the line that they use to spread this misinformation right there. If you go down to the very bottom, I'll explain what that panel means, so that way we can kind of
the very bottom. You mean the Goku?
Yeah, right there. Yeah, this is all your fault. You are always saying, foolishly going on about how a planet must attain higher levels with its own strength, and for there to be any point to it. Now, this is the line that people use to say that mortal level is about strength, but that's not what this is saying. Okay,
that's taking it out of context.
That is taking it out of context. Now, what this is saying, what this is in reference to, okay, this is in reference to what was stated in the Goku Black arc by Gowasu, and it's also in reference to what was stated by Kami in the original Dragon Ball. Okay, Gowasu goes over an entire thing about how he thinks the mortals should be able to take care of their own problems. Okay, and whenever Kami has his conversation about the mortals of Earth all the way back in the original Dragon Ball, he uses the same terminology. He basically says that he believes the mortals should be able to take care of their own problems with their own power. So that's what this is talking about. This is not talking about mortal level being based on power level. This is talking about the gods' method of allowing the mortals to develop in their own way, using their own strength to take care of their own problems. This is not saying that mortal level is based on power. That is not what this is saying. This is saying that in order for the mortals to develop, that they expect them to be able to take care of their own problems with their own strength, and that is what fosters development. They are not saying that it has anything to do with power level. So
yeah. I was just gonna say, there's other quotes that back that up. See, when people do that kind of shit, it's no different than when somebody takes like a Bible verse or a Quran ayah out of context to make the religion look bad, or to make the belief, like, you know, they'll take like one Bible verse from the Old Testament and be like, see, without reading the context around it, right? And that, to me, in my opinion, if you're spreading misinformation with by changing the context, that's basically lying. You're basically a fucking liar. And that's basically something that I see a lot. Like, it's not like about me, but I see it everywhere. And I want to say this to this guy. No, you did not trigger me. You were asking about investment videos. Check out the Patreon, patreon.com/geekdom101. If you sign up for the Ultra Instinct tier, I have Patreon videos, and so far I have 2 posts for the Ultra Instinct people going into investing. I'm going to go into my portfolio, all that stuff. That's an Ultra Instinct Masters tier benefit, because I'm going to share my portfolio with you, and that's something that is probably going to be useful when it comes to investment. I don't want to make any more investing videos, and I don't want to talk about investing in like my Discord, because people don't give a shit except for a small number of people. So I basically made it like a perk that you can get in the highest tier. So that's consistent. I'll be talking about investing consistently on Patreon until I eventually make a channel about it someday. Anyways, let's get back to this, bro. I don't want to go too behind.
Thoughts? The Grand Priest talked about how the tournament is going to take place in the World of Void. How do you feel about the World of Void? What do you think it is?
It's a dimension that takes place outside. It's a dimension that exists outside of the multiverse.
Right. But what do you think it really is? Because
I don't know what you mean by the question.
So what I think it is I think it's essentially room for more universes that they're not using for more universes. They're using it for the tournament. I think the World of Void is essentially a void of empty space that if they wanted to have more universes, they could.
Could be, yeah. But we know it exists outside the multiverse. That we know.
Yeah.
I
do like how the Grand Priest just teleports everybody like easy as hell. He's just like, bloop.
he's got abilities that are downright scary, bro.
Yeah.
Like, that's scary. I agree with this comment, but it's not gonna happen. I do agree with this comment though. Okay, let's see here. All right,
He
so
sent everybody to their actual. You realize how crazy that is? That he sent everybody to their
like
respective.
that.
That's crazy. People think instant transmission's crazy. That's crazy. Like that. The fact that he could send them all to where they needed to go back to is wild. That's crazy, and instantly too.
Right. So this conversation is mostly stuff about like preparing for the tournament, where they're going to find the contenders, this and that. Now, one of the things I really like, I actually like it a lot, is that Toyotaro took time to show us some of the other universes that we didn't see in the anime. Like, for example, here's Universe 11. They're having a discussion about what they're going to do. I like it a lot. I think it's cool. We have pregnant Bulma. She's pregnant with Bra, not Bulla. Her name is Bra. And then, just like in the anime, Whis uses his magic to literally conceive the child like a stork. She didn't even have to come out of Volma's vajayjay.
That would have been nice whenever my kids were being born, bro.
Bro, but here's the real kicker with that, bro. I'll bet Vegeta was happy because that shit probably stayed tight. It probably stayed tight, and she didn't need a few months to like recover. You know what I'm saying?
That's the big thing. Yeah, it's a big recovery process.
It's a big recovery. You know, you got two of them, right?
Yeah.
Like Vegeta. By the way, I also use this example of how Vegeta treats his kids as evidence of how much he changed compared to how he was in Dragon Ball Z. So now Vegeta knows about, you know, the tournament. The word's starting to spread. There isn't that much to talk about here. They're basically recruiting. They're having a discussion about recruiting like 18, Krillin, Roshi, you know, basically all the main characters, I guess, going back to OG Dragon Ball.
They're basically just trying to figure out who they have at their disposal to use. That would be
right. And Kaioshin brings up Majin Buu, who would have hacked the entire thing. Now, again, this scene is great. We did not see this in the anime. But Toyotaro shows us Universe 11.
So that monster right there, I sent you this on Discord, Danny.
I know, I'm going to show it in a minute. But first monster,
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, wow, even the water inside her pregnancy disappears. It's called Mung, bro. The juice, it's so gross. The juice that the baby is in when he's inside his mother's womb is called Mung. That's the slang term. I don't know what it's called in real life. Go ahead, bro. You want me to put up the thing
right here?
You want me to do this?
Is a monster that was in a Bale.
Let me show you.
Original.
Right here. This is the original.
So this is an Bale reference from Toyotaro.
There's a Bale right there.
So what this creature is, which I love because the Techians as a concept is one of my favorite concepts in Dragon Ball. But like what this creature is the Techians, which is the same race that Tarbell's wife is. They do a lot of like genetic experimentation and biological. They make like bioweapons, technological weapons, and stuff like that. So this is a creature that the Techians have taken and biologically souped up to be a bio super weapon. And what's really interesting about the scene with the Pride Troopers is, unlike in a Bale, we actually get to see what the little creatures look like that the Techians blew up into this monster. Because the monster.
You talking about these down here?
The little dudes that that are attacking with them are essentially what the Techians use to genetically modify to create that giant monster. But I really, really like this because it implies that, like, you know, there's genetic experimentation and bioweapons being used in all universes and stuff like that. And I actually do wonder if the Techians have something to do with this monster as well, but they never show them, so that's just speculation. But it's really cool.
Goku should have picked Yamcha or Buu instead of Frieza.
I mean, he would have picked Boo went to
But no,
sleep.
he did pick Boo, and Boo fell asleep. Remember, you told me a while ago that you I don't know if you ever answered me when I asked you if you actually saw Dragon Ball, because I remember you. I think you mentioned at one point that you had never seen Dragon Ball, and I told you that if that's the case, you should not be here. You should go and watch it. Again, I don't know if that's true, but it sounds like it is true. And if you're here, you need to go watch Dragon Ball, bro, or read it. Like, I'm being genuine with you. I remember I told you that in one of these streams. Like, I think it was you that said that. And also the idea of picking Yamcha instead of Frieza, bro. Are you joking? Like, you have to be joking. There's no way you can be serious.
Yeah.
Like, no, this is not the kid who only played the game. I remember that guy. I banned him for being an asshole. Neko Majin Wu says, if they revamped GT through a manga and expanded the universe timeline, would you read? Even though Super is a thing now, bro. Any Dragon Ball manga comes out, I'm gonna read it, bro. If any Dragon Ball manga, I don't give a fuck what it is, but they're not gonna do this. Like, would I read it? Yeah, I'd cover it for the channel. I'm not gonna ignore it, but they're not gonna do that. You know.
That's essentially what Heroes was. It was the closest thing you were ever gonna get to that. You know.
Yes, that's literally what Heroes was, and that was a video game. And the whole thing about revamping GT, I've seen a few people comment about this, bro. GT is over. Daima came in and recreated Super Saiyan 4 Goku. GT's done for. You can keep watching it, enjoying it, playing it in the video games, but this idea that, oh, we can combine GT's continuity with Super is literally impossible, and you're a fucking moron if you think it's not. Like Taro, bro, who says that Battle of Gods is linked to GT. Junior says, Jordan, you see any Tarantino films? Always with the off-topic shit.
Yeah, I've seen a bunch of Tarantino films.
Have you seen all of them, or just some of them?
I don't know if I've seen all of them, but I've seen a bunch of them. I watched a few of them with you.
Yeah, I streamed Pulp Fiction, Reservoir Dogs, Hateful Eight. Not Kill Bill yet.
Hateful Eight was fun to watch with you.
Yeah, that was my second favorite. I don't know if it still is, but it was. So yeah, I love this, bro. Can you imagine how awesome it would be? How awesome it would be if we actually got the fucking Pride Troopers movie or a Pride Troopers show, bro, where it's like the Avengers, like one of those Marvel movies where it's just them fighting monsters. That'd be so fucking awesome, bro.
Yeah, especially especially if it took place after the Tournament of Power and Jiren's changed a little bit. Yeah, I think it would be awesome.
Omni just told me in DMs, thanks for the GT slander. That's a very Omni thing to say, bro.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever met a person that hates GT more than him. Like, I don't know anybody who does.
Me either, actually.
It's almost like GT like fucking traumatized him or something. So yeah, all this stuff is great, very sci-fi. This is very, I know Griffin's close. I'm talking to him and you. This whole thing is very like old school black and white science fiction type shit. We get to see Dispo introduced, who looks like Beerus, and we were never explained why. We get to see the power of Toppo and the other Pride Troopers dealing with this monster. Doesn't this monster remind you of that one shadow dragon that looks like a gopher or whatever? You know who I'm talking about?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, I forgot his fucking name. But this whole thing is just Toyotaro having fun writing a Western superhero manga. I know that you and I did a video about Goku and Gohan and how Goku's an Eastern hero and Gohan's a Western hero. Maybe someday we should do a sequel to it and talk about how Goku is an Eastern hero, but Jiren and the Pride Troopers are basically representatives of what American comics are. Jiren is straight out of fucking Marvel or DC. And that's the way he is. That's done on purpose. Goku is the opposite, but it works. Like I think it works. Yeah, it's like he's doing the Gohan thing, but with an antagonist who has a team now.
Yeah, I remember when Jiren first came out, people were saying this is the closest thing to Superman versus Goku we were ever going to see. So yeah, people were making those comparisons back then. Yeah.
Yes. Well, I mean, look at how awesome it is. Look, here he comes doing the Superman pose right there. For some reason, why does Toyotaro like drawing Jiren's ass, bro? Like, I remember, do you remember the gay rumors that were going around because of the way he drew Jiren's ass?
Actually, Toriyama exaggerated his ass way more in the corrections. I think that's part of the I think that's part of the reason that Toyotaro tries to like draw his ass is because the one time that Toyotaro like drew Jiren, one of the biggest corrections that Toriyama gave him was like making his ass more defined. So it might just be him trying to impress Toriyama. I don't know.
There it is, bro. Look, there it is, La Naga. Yeah,
that's a Toriyama correction.
When this panel came out, remember how everybody was laughing at it? People were saying that Toyotaro might be closet gay. There's nothing wrong with being gay. It's just that's what people were saying back then because of the way he drew this.
Yep.
But if it's a Toriyama, I actually forgot that it was a Toriyama correction. It's been so long. Like, you got to understand, the reason why we're doing the Mangalorian Super is because I have not read Super since I first covered it. I haven't gone back to read the entire thing. We're doing it now together. Dude, it's been years. This arc was being printed in 2018. So it's literally years. Yeah. A lot has happened since then.
I like how Jiren traps the monster in a capsule.
Yeah, like Capsule Corporation, like a Pokemon. It's like a Pokeball. So, and that weird relationship with Jiren and Vermouth or Belmont or whatever. Are you talking about his ass, bro? When you said this, and so this is where's the part where Jiren said he wanted to resurrect his master? Because that's something I wanted to briefly get into.
They don't talk about it until I think
until the tournament, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was wrong. Okay, chapter 31, Super Warriors Gather. So they're showing the this is the Cell Games, the movie where Mr. Satan defeated Cell. I love that touch. I think it's very clever.
Yeah.
This whole part right here is basically Goku recruiting people for the tournament, going back and finding 17, talking to 18 and Krillin. There's not much for us to really break down here. It's just Goku going around talking to people. That's pretty much it.
There is a little bit right here. This is the first time we ever get to see Kami's lookout travel like this.
Oh yeah, it moves. Come on,
Cool.
Jordan. Kami's lookout, the sacred heavenly realm. What are you, a dubby?
I'm trying to relate to people, bro.
No, fuck that. Fuck that.
But also we get to see Oob for the first time in a long time, which is really cool.
Yeah, the Oob. This is the first mention of Oob in Dragon Ball Super. We didn't get this in the anime. Remember, at this point in the timeline, Goku has not met Oob yet. So, but I like this, and we actually got to see him get involved indirectly in the moral arc, but we'll get there when we get there.
And Dende actually has an active role in Goku going to train Oob at the end of Z, which is a new development that we didn't have. We didn't have any context in terms of like,
it's a retcon. But it's not a bad retcon.
We knew Goku knew about Oob in the end of Z, but we didn't really have the details in terms of like, we knew that King Yama informed him that he reincarnated Boo, but we didn't have any context in terms of like how Goku was keeping track of Oob or like why he was so confident that Oob was the one that was the reincarnation of Kid Buu. And this basically just like shows why Goku knew for a fact that Oob was the reincarnation of Kid Buu. That's all this is.
Yeah, and it's obviously I guess you could say foreshadowing to the end of Z. It's difficult to call it foreshadowing since the chapter where Goku meets Oob came out in 1995, but still, it's sort of Toyotaro having fun putting a little Oob in the manga for us to be like, oh look, yeah. Jordan, did you know? This goes back to what I said earlier. Did you know that when this, because again, I'm unlocking trauma here. This is very traumatic for me. Do you remember when this manga panel or when this manga dropped, this chapter? Because I don't know if I was talking to you back then. there were people who thought that it didn't make sense because Super takes place after Dragon Ball Z when it doesn't take place after Dragon Ball Z. There were people this deep into
I do
Super
remember
that didn't know where the fuck it took place.
Yeah, I do remember that. Yep.
It's just weird because not only were there videos explaining when it took place, in the actual Super anime, it tells you, even though it was incorrect in the translation, that Super is after the defeat of Majin Buu, not after Oob. It's during the 10-year time skip. But there were people who thought that Super was after that.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that was wild.
It's not that I'm like upset about it, but it's like, bro, context clues, like, I don't know, bro. Common sense ain't common. All right. So Goku on the tractor. This is Goku trying to find 17.
He puts on the Mighty Mask.
Yeah, the Mighty Mask. Yes. That's another good callback. Here's the reintroduction of 17. We haven't actually seen him since the Majin Buu arc when he put his arm up to give Goku Genki to defeat Buu. Here he is sparring with Goku. I kind of like this a lot because it's not Goku in blue. I know some people had a real problem with 17 being even with Goku in blue.
Yeah, well, even I've had mixed feelings about that because they use blue as like a way to just like be very obscure about how much power Goku had or is using. Because,
and he's suppressing too with blue.
Yeah. Because he tells 17 that he wasn't going full power, but then they also have 17 saying that he wasn't going full power either. So it's just completely left open to interpretation. But I think that they do that on purpose. So
yeah, I think. I mean, the idea that 17. I made a whole video about it that actually did 1 million views. Surprisingly, the idea that 17 was equal to Super Saiyan Blue is a hard nut to swallow for a lot of people because of Now here comes Goku using Super Saiyan 3. I don't really understand why he's using this instead of the God forms because it's got problems and it's just weird to me. Like I don't really get why.
He's just gauging 17's strength. He's just he does. It's the same, basically the same. In Dragon Ball Super, at the very beginning of Dragon Ball Super, when he goes from 1 to 3, it's like in the manga particularly, they repeat that a bunch of times.
I don't like that though, to be honest with you.
No, I understand it is repetitive.
It's not necessary. It's just not necessary. Especially with the fact that we know 3 has issues. Okay, so now they're talking because technically Goku never actually met 17.
Yeah.
Goku never met 17 in Dragon Ball Z. Yeah. People forget that 17 got absorbed when 17 first was awoken by Android 20, Dr. Garo. He wasn't known. Like Goku was still dealing with the heart virus. And then by the time Goku left the Room of Spirit and Time, 17 was already absorbed. So they never, and then when Goku died, Cell died after, and 17 got brought back after that, and Goku was already dead. So they never met before. This is like their little bonding moment and this and that about Goku trying to invite him.
What I like about it is
I like it too, but there's not much to say.
Well, there's a little bit. So they do show that the reason 17 changed is because of Krillin's wish, which I think is really cool. It's very, very similar to what happened with 18, except, Krillin's not married to 17.
He's not fucking 17, bro.
Yeah. But like they do show that like 17 did react to the kindness that Krillin gave him in the sense that he decided to return it in the form of being a park ranger. Now, what I find very interesting about this exchange is that 17. This is what's always interesting to me about this. 17, despite the fact that he's become a better person, still seems to look down on humans.
He is a human too. That's the funny thing. He was born human.
It's because they have been trying to poach the animals.
The environmental thing, yeah.
Yeah, and what I think is really interesting and just cool narratively about that is that 17 used to be that. Like,
yeah, 17, he was born human.
Well, no, that's not what I mean.
Oh, you mean like not give a shit about the environment?
well, not just that, but 17 treated humans the same way that the poachers are treating the animals. And I think that's just really cool. I just think that's a really cool concept because it basically just goes to show that 17 is very, very conscious of like his mistakes and what was bad about what he was doing. Despite the fact that he still looks down on humans, he still kind of has to accept and understand that the way that he was treating the humans is no different than how these poachers are treating these animals. And I just think that's a cool little narrative move from Toriyama, you know.
Well, one of the things that I appreciated about this is Toriyama revealing that 17 was a park ranger was years before Super. That was something he revealed in an interview. I think it was for one of the manga releases. It might have been the full color editions where he said that, 17 became a park ranger. And they actually took that story and put it into Super. I remember I did a video in 2015 before I knew they were going to bring him back where the video was called What Happened to Android 17, where I go into Toriyama making that decision. So
yeah.
And so they did it. Like they kept that, you know.
You got to see it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I like that because it means that his statements were, you know, were still, yes, yeah, right, exactly. And then here's what you were talking about, that Krillin took out the bomb, and that's what made 17 change. Right. That's what made him change. It's right there, man. It's right there. The little old guy asked Shenlong to do that for us. I don't think Krillin's that old, bro, but whatever. 18's definitely younger. So, 17 agrees. Bulma's thinking about Yamcha, but it's not Yamcha. I mean, it's like that guy earlier, George, was saying Yamcha. No, it's not. So they're up to 8 right now, and they're trying to figure out what to do. Piccolo is not being recruited by Goku, and Gohan wants to be recruited. Now,
Piccolo actually Piccolo wants Goku. No, Piccolo wants to recruit Gohan, and is actually pissed off at Goku for not thinking about Gohan, which I think is funny, but.
Yeah, I thought it was a little goofy considering Gohan's power, but I like, I have to convince Gohan.
He didn't think that he'd be able to convince him. Yeah.
Right, yeah. Okay, I like this. Now I've talked about this before. I really like when Toyotaro shows us the other universes and scenes that we didn't see in the anime. Here we have Planet Sadala. We saw this in the anime, but it was a little bit different. And
the architecture, if you'll go back, it shows the difference between high-class Saiyan society and low-class Saiyan society.
Yeah, the low-class buildings have pimples on them.
Yeah, and that was the way the buildings looked in Dragon Ball Super Broly too, which I find very interesting. But yeah, it basically just goes to show that that Saiyan society in Universe 6 and Universe 7, in terms of their aesthetics, aren't that different. They're not
right. Yeah. Okay. Then we have the introduction of Caulifla, somebody who was going to get recruited for Universe 6, where Toyotaro is showing us she can fight. And there's Kale. So this is the introduction of Caulifla and Kale. And
I really like how Kale it's like a bandit, Caulifla is a bandit too. She's the bandit leader, but I really like the way they characterize Kale.
Like a vagabond, right?
Yeah. I really, really like that. And I really also really like that this kind of shows why Kale is kind of feared, because they do talk about in the anime about how Caulifla is feared by the Planet Sadala Defense Force, but we never really get to see why. We do see that she has a gang, but we never really get to see why she's feared so much. And this does a really good job showing us why she's feared, because she's got her own little gang and she has no problems dealing with the Planet Sadala Defense Force in terms of just completely outclassing them. So that's something I really enjoy about this too, is showing kind of where Caulifla stands on the planet. She's feared, she's a bandit. The Sadala Defense Force has trouble taking her down. I like all of that. I think all of that's really cool.
Right. I agree. And it gives her more character. It really does. Toyotaro did different things with Kale than what was in the anime. In the anime, Kale's basically, and this is no bullshit, her name, if you remember, we called her female Broly or girl Broly. Brolina. Because we didn't know, we saw the promo for Tournament of Power, we're like, who the fuck is that? But the whole thing with Kale is basically supposed to be a tribute to the Koyama Broly from Dragon Ball Z, and that's before we even knew that they were going to bring a new Broly in Dragon Ball Super Broly. So I find that was a very interesting time back then. Also,
and the way Caulifla's gang is portrayed here is very, very different to how it's portrayed in the anime. In the anime, they're like greasers. They all wear like leather jackets, and they just look like your standard, like, you know, Toriyama style, almost like Cashman style bandits. Like they kind of like Keiko Daimon. They wear like the black leather coats, and they wear sunglasses, and you know they kind of have that whole aesthetic going on. Here they all wear like robes, and a lot of them are women, and or like young weaker Saiyans. And it kind of seems to suggest that Caulifla's...
They're dressed like Romans almost, right?
Yeah. Well, the Planet Sadala's Defense Forces outfit is straight up just Roman.
Right.
Armor.
The whole thing is the architect. Everything's Roman. Yeah.
Yeah. But it kind of goes to show that that Caulifla is like the leader of like a group of rejects, meaning that if like you're rejected by Saiyan society, Caulifla takes you in and makes you a part of her group, which I think is cool.
Yes. You actually got it backwards, bro. Toriyama created Caulifla, and then Toei created Kale, and then Toyotaro took Kale from the anime. So Caulifla was made first. We actually have Toriyama's design of Caulifla. I remember they printed it in Shonen Jump back then, or maybe it was V Jump. But Kale was not a Toriyama creation. That's why when you talk about canon, things get very muddy with Dragon Ball Super, because while the original manga was just Toriyama and his editors, the Super era, there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen. A lot of cooks. That's why originally I did not want to cover this on the Mangalorian. I think people understand that this is separate from the original manga. And even though Toriyama's involved in this, he's not the head guy. He's not drawing every panel. So you can obviously put that in your canon arguments, which you shouldn't, because there is no argument, but people like to do arguments. Also, this is something else about these characters. People wanted female Saiyans to be badass for years, and they wanted female Super Saiyans, and Caulifla and Kale were the first female Super Saiyans.
Yep. Now,
this is Kaba teaching Caulifla Super Saiyan.
Yeah, and the fact that Caulifla that Kaba needed Super Saiyan to keep up with Caulifla was a necessary thing, in my opinion, as well, because they already established that, like, you know, Kaba is essentially the top of the food chain in terms of people in the Sadala Defense Force. So the fact that Caulifla was giving him problems is telling as to how strong she is in comparison to the Sadala Defense Force. So
yeah, and remember, these characters don't even know what Super Saiyan is, and they can't become great apes, and they're still very, very strong. Magan says Dragon Ball became more corporate, thus the canon stuff got mixed up where canon never mattered much. Canon never mattered, okay? But
Toriyama never cared about it. He wanted to tell cool stories. He didn't care about that.
None of them cared, bro. None of them cared. But you're right about the first thing. Dragon Ball became corporate. Dragon Ball Super was very, very corporate. I'm not saying Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball and GT weren't, but Super's really corporate, because with Super, they try to find things that will pop the fans. Like Akio wants to do things for the fans, whereas Toriyama, when he was writing his manga, actually did the opposite. He was known to not do what the fans wanted, which is why that fucking rumor about how he changed the main character back to Goku's fan pressure is such bullshit, because Toriyama himself's been quoted multiple times saying, I don't listen to the fans. I sometimes fuck with them, He didn't use that language, but he did say, I sometimes subvert their expectations on purpose.
Right. Right.
You know, this is actually kind of true. It's not a giant committee, but it is a group of people. This is real. This is very genuine. And yeah, so this is the whole tingly back thing. It's not really in the manga. I did a whole video explaining that with martial artist Kendamu. We went into all that. The tingly back is a real thing in Japan, folks, in Eastern culture. It's real. This, again, more Toyotaro fighting, and then he's showing her Super Saiyan. Excuse me. And then she wants to learn Super Saiyan, so now he wants to teach her. Meanwhile, in Universe 7, Beerus is sleeping again, and this is more of the recruitment stuff. There's not really much to break down here. You know what I mean? As far as like...
no, I get it, yeah.
The universe is huge, yet everybody you chose from a little booger like Earth, this is all your guys' fault for destroying Frieza and his army. So he's the first one that brings up Frieza. He's the first one that brings up Frieza. Also, is this the first and this is the first and only time that the old Kai is actually at Capsule Corp?
Yep. That's true.
Actually, was he even on Earth? Because every
he's never
time
been on Earth before.
Yeah. Well, maybe like many years ago, but yeah, he's always been on the Kai world.
Yep. Yeah, that's a pretty cool. It's a pretty big development.
Magan, the people that are upset about it, I mean, okay, I understand on the surface it's weird. I'm not gonna deny that, but a lot of people who shit on it don't understand it, and it's based on ignorance. It's based on ignorance. It's not based.
It doesn't retcon anything either. It's literally just the technique that you've seen them use throughout Dragon Ball Z the entire time. It's just Toriyama wanted to explain how that worked, and this is something that I've talked about before. By the fans who say it's a retcon, I mean,
it is kind of a retcon, but it's not a bad one.
Well, I don't consider it a retcon.
It's lore expansion.
They never explained how you turn Super Saiyan after the initial trigger. They never explained that. They don't ever tell. Like Goku explains how you become a Super Saiyan to Gohan.
Right?
In the time chamber, but that's in reference to first becoming a Super Saiyan. They never ever explain how they go Super Saiyan without a huge trigger like that. They never explain that. So to me, it's just, it's just Toriyama expanding on something he's probably already thought about in the past. It's like, it's not.
Yeah.
It's
no, that's it. Yeah. It's like the S cells. Like, is it a retcon? In a way, yes, but it doesn't mean it's a bad retcon. But I do understand people not liking the S cells, Jordan, because I think it reminds people of midi-chlorians, and that was shit on a lot when Phantom Menace came out. People thought that midi-chlorians made the Force less magical.
Yeah, I think that's I don't know. I think that's silly logic. I personally don't. I'm not a big fan of the midi-chlorians from Star Wars, but the S cells don't bother me. I think automatically being like, oh, the midi-chlorians are bad in Star Wars, so they have to be bad in Dragon Ball, silly logic. But whatever.
It's different, too. It's a different transformation, and alien species is a little bit different, even though, obviously, Star Wars has a lot of alien species. So
yeah.
Okay. Now they're talking about Frieza. And this is actually kind of cool. This is what Toyotaro kind of did with Broly. This is Toyotaro giving a little flashback to the resurrection, huh?
Yeah, of ROF, yeah.
Yeah, resurrection of Frieza, the revival of Frieza arc, just a little bit, like not a whole. And
these panels are taken directly from his ROF manga, by the way.
Well, and also he didn't. If we talked about this on the first volume of Mangalorian Super, the to Resurrection F promotional manga was 3 chapters, and it didn't have an ending. It ended right when Goku was about to fight Frieza. I think that's where it ended, and then that was it. You had to go see the movie. So it was literally like a promo, like what this manga used to be, which is not anymore. When the anime passed the manga, the original Super anime passed the manga ceased being the promotional. So yeah. Okay, let's see here.
He's basically just warning everybody. He's like, these guys are so strong that I lost my fight.
Yeah, yeah, right. And then this is where Goku says he wants to revive Frieza for 24 hours. So this is like, you know what I mean? This is actually like
This is the
part
build
of
up to the team.
yeah. More Universe 6 stuff here. This scene was also not in the anime. Let's see here.
Yeah, I like that we get to see the little Planet Sadala ship there. I think that's cool.
Yeah, which it's very, that's a very prequel trilogy design too. And then here we have Frieza's first person perspective of the end of Resurrection F when Vegeta was about to kill him. Remember how how Toyotaro in the superhero arc had like 4 or 5 panels devoted to telling the Broly story because he didn't make it into a manga. That's what he's doing here basically.
Yeah, he's recounting ROF. And I really like that scene,
all of this is ROF.
I really like that scene of Vegeta humiliating Frieza and then Goku killing him is what sticks out in Frieza's mind as what bothers him so much. I really like that. I think that's cool.
Yeah, and Frieza's back in hell again. So Vegeta's suiting up. Everybody's almost ready. Gohan. Now, let me ask you a question about Gohan. Actually, I'm going to ask the chat. Okay, make sure you push like on the stream, bro. We need more likes. I want to ask the chat, and I want to ask you, Jordan, but don't answer yet. Which adult Gohan outfit do you like more? Anime, which is Goku inspired, or manga, which is Piccolo inspired? Obviously, Gohan trained under both of these guys. Therefore, he respects both of them as his martial arts masters, besides just being his friend / dad. So I want you guys to vote right now on YouTube. The poll is up. Which do you like more, the manga purple Gohan or red Gohan?
I'll tell you, I like that he's wearing the Demon Clan gi. I prefer that.
Really?
And I'll tell you why.
Go for it.
And they should have had him wear it in the anime, in my opinion, as well. And I'll tell you why. Because the reason that Gohan succeeds, and they talk about this a lot in the anime, actually. They talk about it a little bit in the manga, but not as much in the anime. They really go over this in the anime. The entire reason
there's a whole episode about it
that Gohan is successful in the way that he is in the Tournament of Power is because he has successfully mastered Piccolo's ideology. And I think that wearing
the
Piccolo's
Mazoku ideology.
Yeah, and I think that wearing Piccolo's outfit is appropriate for that. Now, don't get me wrong; it is really cool to see Gohan wearing Goku's outfit while practicing Piccolo's ideology. I think that does strike a really cool balance between the different influences in Goku's life. But personally, I just think the fact that he's wearing Piccolo's outfit is very, very important narratively to the type of ideology that Gohan's trying to master. So, I prefer the Demon Clan gi.
Viltrumites versus Saiyans. I have not seen Invincible except for the first episode, so I'm not qualified to answer that question. But I want you to remember something about Saiyans that a lot of fans forget. Besides Goku, Vegeta, Broly, and their kids, most Saiyans are weak. So people have this idea, Jordan, because of Goku and Vegeta, that all the Saiyans have potential. Oh, let's wish back Raditz and Nappa and all that stupid shit. When in reality, the vast majority of Saiyans, Goku and Vegeta are special. Same thing with Frieza's race. Toriyama himself said that Frieza and King Cold are mutants of their race and therefore they're stronger. Goku and Vegeta are fighting prodigies. Not all Saiyans are fighting prodigies. So when somebody says Saiyans, you gotta remember a lot of them aren't that strong, like Goku, Vegeta, Broly.
I've seen this debate a lot online lately, in terms of
Me too, because of Invincible, right?
Yeah, I think it's a silly comparison. I mean,
I haven't seen it, so I can't even comment.
The thing is that Viltrumites are just they're strong because they're aliens and they have genetic things that make them as strong as they are, but Dragon Ball characters are as strong as they are as a side effect of how much energy they have. So it's I feel like it devolves into this weird conversation about feats versus scaling, and I don't like, it's not worth talking about to me, you know.
No, I mean, I actually wouldn't mind talking about it as far as like to make a video, but
Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet, so I can't even. I'm not gonna be dishonest. I can't listen. Anytime, and I said this the other day. Anytime that you hear somebody on the internet call me a liar or say that I'm a grifter or whatever, think about who's saying it, what their reasoning is. Are they actually trying to do the right thing, or are they just a fucking envious fucking loser who wishes he was in my spot? I'm not saying no names.
My cat out.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, we're almost done anyways, bro. We've got like, looks like 12 pages left. So what I was gonna say was, if you ever see somebody call me a liar or whatever, really consider if I actually am a liar or if I'm actually very honest. Because I can tell you firsthand, I've never lied to my audience. I've lied in my life. I've lied to my parents, not proud of it. I've lied to my friends in the past, a while ago. I've lied to the police, obviously, and to teachers. You know, I used to skip class when I was in high school. I'm not trying to encourage you to do it. I'm just saying I used to, you know. But on this channel, I don't lie. And I can't make that video even though I want to make it because of the fact that I don't know Invincible that well. So.
Right.
All right. So the team is getting together here. Frieza shows up. It's a little bit different in this version because they don't have the Frieza Goku sparring match with the let me put the manga back up. With the they have it, but it's off screen. Right? And
there's a lot of stuff that happens off screen that Toyotaro just wants you to remember from the anime.
Yeah.
He leans very, very heavily on the anime in the Tournament of Power manga, like he does.
I love how Tenshin Han and Roshi think that he's gonna go get Yamcha, and they're like, "Oh, if Yamcha doesn't come, I'll get Chaozu," and I'm like, "Please no." What pops me too is look at what Tenshin Han says. I see Yamcha must be wimping out, bro. Why do they insist on burying Yamcha so much in modern Dragon Ball? Have you ever noticed that?
They bury him until they don't. Yeah, I have noticed that. Yeah.
Yeah, but they do it a lot in modern Dragon Ball. Even like old Dragon Ball, even like GT and the Buu Saga didn't do that to our boy.
I think he's kind of become a joke because he's made the least amount of progress out of all the characters. I mean, they even did.
He is a meme.
That time I got reincarnated as Yamcha, the whole reason they picked Yamcha is because he has a reputation as such a weak fighter. So yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, but it's almost to the point. I mean, he's a meme now. There's no denying it. And then, as we found out I think it was 2 years ago, the voice actor for Yamcha got caught cheating on his wife and stepped down from the role. Only in Japan would they do something like that where you can actually lose a job for cheating. I mean, it happens here in some companies that are very Christian. Like Dave Ramsey had to fire one of his guys because he cheated on his wife. But usually they don't do that. So
right.
So Frieza, the point of these panels is Frieza wants to tell everybody, I'll help you win this tournament, but I want complete resurrection.
He wants resurrection, and he also was telling them that that he had been doing image training and that he's much stronger than he was before.
That's how we have True Gold in Frieza. Yeah,
basically just summoning the anime. Toyotaro's basically just, talking about events that happened in the anime within the manga.
Mecha J, no, you are wrong about that. When this was happening, the anime was already done, bro. You must forget, these chapters were going on right before Broly came out, and the anime ended in March of 2018. So, no, the anime was done. The anime caught up with the manga when Goku fought Frost. That's when the anime caught up. This is correct from Mecha J2. The baseball episode confirms they know he's a meme with the death pose. And I remember doing a video about that. I love Frieza here doing the pose. And yes, Goku accepts bringing him back to life. And Vegeta is like, are you nuts? Everyone's questioning him.
And Frieza has to hold Beerus in Goku's hands. That's funny.
Yeah, I know. It's hilarious considering their history with both of them. So, look
in the
what
anime,
Beerus says.
if I'm not mistaken, in the anime, don't they make Vegeta be the one to have to hold his hand, and he like hates it?
He hates holding Goku's hand. I forgot if he held Frieza's hand. He might have.
Yeah.
He might have. So this part right here I want to highlight when Beerus tells them that they need to work together. It's a battle royale. You know, there really wasn't all that much teamwork in Universe 7. Like, Gohan and Piccolo worked together. 18 and Krillin worked together. Goku worked together with several different people at different points
in the manga,
of the tournament.
it's a way bigger deal than it is in the anime.
But
The whole teamwork thing is a way bigger deal in the manga than it is in the anime. Because the only reason that Goku and Vegeta take down Jiren, which I guess we're not there yet, but might as well get into it, is because they use teamwork. So they make it a much bigger. In the anime,
Right.
It's basically just like in the anime, they recontextualize it into support for Goku.
In a lot of ways, yeah.
Yeah,
And at the end, it was support for 17.
Yeah,
at the
so
very end.
it's less about them working together, so to speak, as a team, and more about just like all of them having faith in Goku and supporting him in the anime. But
Confirmation.
in the manga, they definitely do make a bigger deal out of the whole teamwork thing.
I'll be real with you. One of the things that I think was a missed opportunity in this arc that I wanted to see, and they didn't give it to us in either version, is I wanted to see the teams formulate strategies. Like, before the tournament started, I wanted to see like the different universes coming together and talking about like, who are we going to eliminate? Oh, this guy Goku is dangerous. This guy Jiren is dangerous. And actually like maybe do some reconnaissance
Yeah, they
work.
kind of did that with Frieza in the anime.
Yeah, but it wasn't the way that I wanted it. I wanted it to be like I wanted it to be a situation where like they actually do some research. Like, for example, let's say it's Universe 3. Who is Son Goku? And the angel for Universe 3 uses their wand to show them scenes of like fights from Dragon Ball and Z, and they can watch it. And
you
like,
want them to understand Goku's weakness before they even go into the fight.
well, just be more strategic and show like Gohan killing Cell and like basically show what Universe 7's accomplishments have been throughout the years and how they can beat them. And then I wanted them to say like, oh, Jiren's dangerous, it's all gang up on him. I wanted stuff like that. I think that would have been so much more fun. Not just see Universe 7's preparations, but everybody else. And we didn't get that. And that's a missed opportunity, I think. So this is the end. We're at the end here. Bulma says we're counting on you. And then here we have Toriyama correcting Jiren's ass.
Toyotaro didn't give him that ass in the original.
Yeah, the original's down here.
The original.
Yeah, well, that's a sketch, but yeah, that's Toriyama made his ass more assy.
Yeah.
And then here we have Caulifla, which is a Toriyama. Sensei drew these versions of the new characters' debut scenes for me. Yeah, Toriyama actually drew this into the manga, so this is one that we can actually like remember. And then this one.
Yeah, this was actually really controversial. I remember when this page first came out.
Krillin's face?
Yeah, there were a lot of people who were upset because they liked Toyotaro's Krillin better because they said it looked more accurate to the original Dragon Ball Z art style. But you have to understand that Toriyama, like, he has his own taste when it comes, especially modern Toriyama. He has his own taste when it comes to, like, what he wants his characters to look like in the modern era. This Krillin design is actually very, very, very similar to what he drew for Krillin's design in Battle of Gods too, and I know a lot of you have probably seen like the Battle of Gods designs that Toriyama did. It was a very, very different style than the original Dragon Ball Z Buu style. So
yes, his style definitely changed.
Me and you have had about this. This kind of comes back to a conversation me and you had about like Toyotaro's art style. Toyotaro is not drawing in his own art style. He is trying to draw in the Buu Saga style, and then is being corrected by Toriyama in a like modern, more Jocko-esque style. So everything that you see with Super in terms of like the art style is basically just kind of like a mix of like Buu Saga, which Toyotaro tries to emulate, and him trying to adapt to Toriyama constantly correcting it to look more like his modern style. And this is a really good example of that. And they did actually end up using this in the manga. They used how Toriyama drew Krillin and not Toyotaro. So
Yeah. This is a correction. I agree with Heish here. He does look very, very young. Like he looks like OG Dragon Ball Krillin, you know, in a way. And that's, you know, here, this is Toyotaro's expressions, and it is more Z-like. Yeah, the one thing that a lot of people have said about modern Toriyama is that the characters are less muscular, and he's right about that. They're right about that. They are a lot less muscular.
Yep.
Why did he change his style? I think just when you get older, you change your style. I obviously
more gag looking and less. I think he's going back to his like Dr. Slump roots.
Maybe. I mean, and that's definitely possible. I agree with the fans that I like the Z style a bit more, or the OG Dragon Ball style a bit more than the modern look, but I don't hate the modern look like a lot of people do. I actually think that Goku and Super Saiyan God looking thin like that made sense because Beerus is super thin. It's like a side effect of being a god.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Anyways, Mangalorian Volume 6 is history. Next time... Yep. Next time we'll do Volume 7, which is the beginning of the tournament and how it goes down. So, any final thoughts, bro?
No. Appreciate you guys sticking by.
Remember to get your hands... Where the fuck did I put it at? Where's Kekko Daimon at? I just had it here. Oh, here it is. Remember to get your hands on Kekko Daimon. Did you make this into a CBZ already?
I posted the entire thing for free on Twitter. It's my pinned tweet.
No, I know that, but I'm saying it'd be easier if you had a CBZ.
Because I tried to make it into a CBZ and it killed the art quality so much.
Really?
That I want to find a better CBZ program to use because the art just completely.
There has to be a better one, bro. Like Seed of Might has a good one for their manga upscales.
Yeah, I'll have to just find a better. But once I do have a CBZ, I'll post it on Twitter. But you can go read it for free right now on my Twitter profile, Jordan L. Durham. On Twitter, it's my pinned tweet, so it's at the top of my Twitter account.
And don't forget this, folks. Graham sent me this. Don't forget this. Anyways, I'm out of here, brother. Have a good one, y'all. Take care, and we'll see you in the next one.